Hey guys, it's Cal here, filming this for a second time now because my microphone messed up and there was so much static and it was a 30-minute long video, so I've got to do it all again. Doesn't matter, not the end of the world. Here we go guys, so this is the video demonstration of the KRORSSGUARDs. Little play on words there, so KRORSSGUARD, because KROR, me, I set myself on one Replicas. Spent a long time designing and engineering this kit, going through samples and prototypes to come up sort of with a happy medium between the various different references of the Kylo Ren lightsaber, which obviously it's inspired by. You'll find that there's so many different props and there was various different reference materials that we were very fortunate enough to see that sort of confirmed many different many different differences between the ones across the films and ones that prop department made, ones that the designers had originally intended, stuff like that. So hopefully you guys can take a look at this in detail and decide whether you want to jump in on the run that is launching on the 4th of May. So on Star Wars Day you'll be able to order these. They're all checked, ready to ship, so they'll ship out in May. There's not going to be any long delays or anything like that in terms of production. They're all already made and it's going to be a limited run. It doesn't matter if you do miss out, as I do know that this is a hard time for people right now, but this isn't something that is limited edition, so if you don't have the opportunity to buy one now, it's not the end of the world. I can finish up the rest of the projects I have for this year, and who knows, we might be able to squeeze in a run next year or the year after. But don't think that if you miss out on this occasion, you're never ever going to be able to get one again, because it's gonna, I think, be a very popular saber. So this is how the kit will be presented. We've got some nice illustrations on the box. You've got the product name, obviously, KRORSSGUARD, and you've got some nice illustrations on the box there, which we designed not long before production began. Obviously, KR Sabers and one Replicas at the back there. It's sort of like an iPhone style box, so you can just open this up nicely, take the lid off, got a nice bit of foam, and we've got some goodies in here. So we've got some accessories that we go through. This is the main hilt, and just to run through, the whole hilt is CNC machined aluminium and anodized black. It's had a nice glass bead blasted finish for a smooth finish, makes it look really, really nice. We've got a brass belt clip, and we've got some actual steel side emitters, which can obviously be heat treated if you want to have a real genuine effect. The assembly's over 50 pieces, so it's pretty insane. One of the biggest sabers or saber kits that I've ever had to make, and I'm really happy with the results. So at the end of the video I'll show you one that I've already assembled and made into a kit, and I'll run through some of the details on this one. So that's how the hilt will be partially assembled for you, and you'll get some accessories in some bags, which I'll go through now. It's got a nice foam cutout, perfect for the hilt. You've got your wire, which is pretty self-explanatory. You know, you've got the red wire which runs up the clips on the body, and those are made accurately. So we've got the accurate colour blue, which goes on the cutout on the engine, and you've got the red wire which runs along from the lower engine to the upper engine of the lightsaber, and it runs along the body inside the body clips. So that's those. You've also got your red anodized end cap, which you can see here. That goes on the bottom in the accurate location. It's not threaded, you simply just fasten it on there with some glue, and you can orientate it in the screen accurate option. So for example, you've got this, let's say you've done your install or you're assembling it as a static prop, and if you have a look closely, you can see there's these 6 torque screws which fasten the fins. There's 6 at the bottom, and there's 6 also that are fastened from within the body, just here underneath each of the fins. But the little notches on the cap sort of allow you to orientate it, so you can have like that, fasten that on there, or you know, you can turn it, I don't know, let's say you want it a different way, you turn like that, turn like that, but you probably want to go for whatever's screen accurate. So you've got your red anodized bottom cap there, nice finish on that. We've also got your 4 wire clips. These little wire clips, they've got these little sprues on them, which I use for locating them on the body. When I glue these on, as well as the body tabs, I don't use glue, I use JB Weld. JB Weld is like a chemical metal, and you mix it up as 2 parts, and you have a good working time for it. It takes about 4 to 6 hours to dry, but I always let mine dry overnight, and it's rock solid when it's on there. So they're the wire clips, and you'll notice on the body got these little holes, like one there, one there, one there, and one just at the bottom there. That's where the wire clips will go. So you've got 4 of those wire clips, and we've got your button assembly. So you've got the button plungers. This is a polycarbonate, clear polycarbonate. Made a nice mold of this. Just wait for it to focus a bit. Yeah. And this goes from the inside of the shroud, and when you mount your PCB button in there, if you are doing an FX install, it sort of goes on like this, and you can have your button clicking motion. Depending on how you do your install, you might need to sand this down a little bit to get that good tactile feedback, but anyone who's an installer or an experienced installer will understand how to do that. You've got this small capacitor greebly, which I'll just zoom in on. It's really detailed. Let's see if we can get focused on here. There we go. You can see some of the details on there, because that was a very detailed component which I didn't know about, but after looking at the references and some of the models, it was a very detailed piece. It looks like a little grenade or something, and I wanted to make sure I captured that detail, but hopefully you can see some of the details on that. So I made this separate piece, molded as well, to capture that detail, and that part just goes right in here. So on here, that goes like that. Let's see if you can see that detail on there. So I'll leave it there for now. And that was the accessories in this bag. You've got your 11 body tabs. These are put on the body. Like I said, I recommend JB Weld for these because you want them to be permanently on there really. This makes for nice crisp machining lines, so they were machined separately. You get 11 in the kit, and those are put on these grooves here. So you've got these grooves all around the body, and that's where you'll put those pieces. And when you assemble that, just put a small bit of JB Weld in there, push them in, tape round so it's nice and tight, and let it dry overnight, and it'll be rock solid, and you can weather it without the worry of them coming off. So that's the accessories just on this side of the pouch. It may vary depending on which side they're on, because it didn't do anything specifically. And then on the other side of the pouch, we've got, put that to one side quickly, we've got our blade plugs. So we've got 2 side emitter blade plugs. Really nice detail in these. They're 2 pieces because we wanted to be able to capture this detail here. So you see it's very thin. So traditional machining, we can't get a tool in there, so we machined it as 2 pieces. So you get these really cool spikes in there. So you've got 2 of those ones for the side emitters. And you've also got the main emitter, which is 1 inch. Side emitters are 7/8 of an inch. And you've got that detail there as well. So that's the main blade plug. And then we have the upper engine, which is a very detailed piece. You can see how it's been done. Lots of detail in there. If you're wondering what this hole is so that you can put your wires through and out through the bottom when it's assembled into the upper shroud. So that'll go there. Your button PCB will be mounted on here. Got a little notch for it to line it up, and the wires can run down this groove into the chassis. So I do have a chassis here, so you can see when you assemble it, this is obviously going to be the front of the Saber. You've got a small hole here that you can drill and tap for like an M3 grub screw to hold onto the chassis, and then your wires will go in there and to your board. Nice and easy. You've also got this hole, I'm going to show you here, you've also got this hole here, which is for your wire. The red wire can go in there. Now you'll find that when you push this into the shroud, this might be in the way, which is fine. What I do is I just get a file and I just file the top of it so that it ends up being like a C rather than a closed hole, and it friction fits into the upper shroud really nicely, and you can still get your wire in there. So you might just have to file this down a little bit so it looks like sort of like that, where it's a C, and your wires can still go in there. You can just see some of the detail on the engine, even things like just the screw heads on those details. This was actually how it was meant to look in terms of the engine. This was meant to be the front of it, but some cool stories about how that was done incorrectly, but now most people see it as this. You've got these wire details. So yeah, that's the upper engine. It's been chrome plated and moulded. So that's the accessories that you'll get, guys. And now we can talk about the kit. So this is how the hilt is included in the kit. You'll notice there's 2 grub screws here from the top. These are to hold the inner quillons, this part still, but also there's no holes drilled on the inner sleeve. So you've got these 2 holes here. These had to be made as 2 pieces so that when you screwed them on they were parallel. So you can actually unscrew these. And what you want to do is, if you are doing an electronics installation, you want to take these screws out, which I'll show you now. Just an example. So once you've taken those screws out, you'll see here and here there's no through hole on the inner one. So you want to mark with a marker pen there and there, and you want to drill this inner sleeve out so that you can hold your NeoPixel connector and your blade. So usually what I do is I just rock this a little bit. So you'll see that this can move when it's loose, and you just want to sort of hold it in place and just use your thumb and rock back and forth, and you'll start to feel it come loose, like so. And I just sort of, it's hard to do whilst on camera, but I hold it with 2 hands. I hold this straight and I'll unscrew that. Just trying to do it whilst looking at the camera so I can see. So I'll hold this. No, that's better. I'll hold it like this. So you've got the 2-piece, and then you can drill this for the pass-through of the grub screws, and that way you can hold your PCB or your NeoPixel, because in order to have this perfectly aligned, it would have been much more difficult to try and machine them as one piece and have the threads always line them up. So instead it's 2 pieces, you put it on like that, and you just screw it into place like so. And then once it's all locked in and tight, it doesn't rattle or anything, like so. See, it's nice and sturdy. You've got your main blade retention screw here, and you'll see also, you can just see the base of the heatsink. This is where your buttons will be, and this is part of your twist and lock mechanism. So if you unscrew this slightly, like that, slides out. So you've got the J-lock here, and then the locking screw at the back. And you can see this is the top piece. I might move this aside because the camera is focusing on it. So you've got the top piece here, and you can see just underneath you've got the heatsink, which has got 3 screws which fasten it on there. And you might be able to see, I'm not sure, I think it's a bit difficult because of the shadows, but also you might see some screws in there. There's 1, 2, 3. 2 of them hold this control box on, and 1 of them holds this clover screw, I call it. But I'll include some photos of how the Hilt's assembled anyway. For example, this is a screw, holds this control box on. There's a screw underneath here which holds a similar control box, and then underneath this piece there's 2 screws left and right which hold this piece together. So it's pretty complicated how it goes together, but the engineering behind it's really good, so that you can make for a nice install. Also, you've got your hole down the center there for your wires, so it goes down and down here, and you can run them through the back of the engine. Also, if you take this away, take these screws out, like so. Oh, and the rear one. You've got this inner collar, so that holds the bottom piece of the switch PCB. I'll put that down. So your upper engine will sit inside this, and you've got where your switch is, which is about here. So your switch would be along there basically. So that's that. You can put that back in place. You can see a bit better the heatsink under there, and there's also a pass-through hole for your tri-cree or your NeoPixel. You can see it has a copper base if you do want to mount an LED directly onto there, or you can just put your NeoPixel connector in there like the short one from Stock Custom Works. So we'll put this back very quickly. Got one. You want to fasten these all the way down because they control the J-lock system. So that's the upper assembly, and I'll offer some more photos of that. Like I said, when you're passing your wires through the center hole on here, the wires go down, so there's a hole that goes down, so they'll go like this, go in there and then down, and that way you can do your NeoPixel or side LEDs. Then you've got the lower assembly, which is pretty easy to remove. It's nothing too complicated. You've got your brass belt clip here. I haven't tested it with the JJ Industries belt clip yet, but I'd like for someone to test that. It's obviously raised off the body as it should be. And then you've got the fins, and you've got the lower engine, which should just be in there a bit loose right now. So hopefully I can just grab it out. It push fits into the speaker vent, which you can see it push fits into that hole. That unscrews as well if you want to. You can check out some of the detail on this. It's a really detailed piece. Got the wires and tubes that are running around it like that. Molded as well and then chrome plated. And you know, if you're doing your weathering, you want to make sure this looks all grimy, so you can cover it in black paint and just wipe it, and it'll look really nice. Now on the top piece here, you'll see there's a small hole. That hole you can put your wire into, but the wire, for it to be accurate, is 2.8 millimeters. So this hole is about 2.5, so you might want to enlarge this hole. I've got like a mini set of drill bits, which goes from like 0.5 millimeter up to 3 millimeter, but it goes in 0.1 millimeter increments. So I got my 2.8 millimeter drill bit, and I just drilled through here very slowly on the lowest setting on my drill, because this is only plastic. It's like injection molded and then chrome plated to capture all of these details, because obviously these little tubes can't be machined, and all this detail can't be machined, for example bits like that. And I just drilled it open a bit larger, and you can put your red wire and tuck it under there, and then usually I put the wire in from the bottom first. So if I was the installer, I would put my wire in and then push it up like so, put it in the right orientation, which is like this side I believe for the front, and then feed the wire through from the bottom and through the clips once they've been attached. And we also have torque screws which are holding the fins down. So you've got 6 torque screws there. If I'm going to zoom in a bit more, got 6 torque screws, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which hold the base of the fins. And there's also some inside from the inside, which you can do with a 90-degree torque screw, which hold them on here. But they're on there very securely anyway, so none of them are loose, and they've all been assembled and checked, so you won't need to remove them. And yeah, so that's how the lower assembly is, and your chassis, which I've got here, will just sort of slide in from the top, nice snug fit. That's when you remove it. And what I'll do is I'll fasten this back on there now. And you can see it does the correct alignment. So the hilt's always correctly aligned, but you can do a crystal reveal, chassis reveal, all things like that. So that's how, a brief overview of how the hilt assembles, how it sort of goes together. Put the screws back in before I forget. And like I said, when you want to drill them through, I drill it just more than 3mm because the holes are tapped to M3 by 0.5 thread pitch. So you can just use the screws to try and mark them, or just use a pen and then drill them through. I use like a stiff drill bit, and yeah, it done it in just took me about 5 minutes to drill those holes. And then I could have the pass through. So that's how the kit comes, guys. Really nice kit. I hope you all like them. And what I done yesterday was I installed, not with electronics, sorry, I assembled my own one, which I was very happy with once it was all done. So I'll show you guys what that looks like now. So that's what mine was like, all finished. JB welded the belt clips on, installed the upper engine, put my buttons in, drilled and tapped, well I didn't have to tap, just drill a through hole so that the screws would touch the blade plugs to hold the blade plugs. Put my main plug in there, added my belt clip, sorry not belt clips, but added the wire clips really on there nice and tight with the JB weld. I really recommend using that. Put my blue wire in, put on my bottom cap, and that right there is an assembled Kylo. And then I'll heat treat these and paint the edges black, and I'll have the Last Jedi style sort of Kylo, which wasn't really that weathered, just the side vents. So yeah, really happy with how this kit came out. I'll put some more information as to the assembly, some assembly pictures if people have some questions about how things go together. And yeah, really happy with these kits, and I hope you guys are too. So as I said, they're launching May 4th, and I'll announce the date and time specifically on the store listing, which I'll add to the store now that I filmed the video. And yeah guys, almost a year's worth of work to hopefully have the most accurate Kylo DIY FX kit. So as you know, I make kits for the DIY Saber community, and yeah, this was a big project, but I really hope you guys like it, and I can't wait to see what you guys do with yours in terms of weathering and painting. And yeah, have a nice weekend everyone, hope you're all staying safe. Thanks for your support as always. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel if you want to see more, and I will catch you on the next one. Cheers guys.